Welcome to Noble, a network of owners, business leaders, and entrepreneurs. Here, we focus on the 5 stages of business: launching an idea, establishing a business, hiring employees, creating leaders, and then expanding your impact. We hope you enjoy today's session.
I want to welcome everybody and just give a brief introduction here to our guest speaker. Jimmy Mitchell is a native of Columbus, Ohio. Jimmy has been married to Yvette for 42 years and has 4 children. He is a published author, and we'll talk a little bit about his book as well today, and has started several successful small businesses. So it's an honor to have him here today. Chef Jimmy has worked in various culinary fields for over 35 years, so quite a bit of experience, from his own restaurant and catering business to hotels, hospitals, and other care facilities. His current business, J. Mitchell Spices and Sauces, is what we're going to hear a lot about today. And he started that in April of 2018. Chef Jimmy was awarded Top Ohio MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, for 2020, which is pretty big. A lot of small businesses in the state of Ohio have gone through the MBE, or Minority Business Enterprise program. So please help me welcome Jimmy Mitchell to our Noble Live. Jimmy, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and with your vast experience, it's just awesome for you to come here and share your time and really give folks a great insight as to how they can get started maybe in the culinary field. But then we have a number of people who are already in that business, and I'm sure your wisdom is going to be able to help us there. I had the pleasure a few weeks ago to go to Jimmy's church and to be able to share a little bit with some small business folks that were there. But what I love the most is it was like a little business fair. So out in the parking lot of the church, different businesses had been set up, a lot of them food-based businesses, and I tried everything, And there were also baked goods, which I bought everything and took them home. So me and my wife, we didn't need that, but I couldn't resist taking those home with me. But what a great thing to do for your church and for your community, and just appreciate what you do. One of the businesses that was there again, and I bought a number of things while I was there, but one of the ladies that was there is an author, and her name is Candy Stewart, and she wrote this devotional. It's 366-day devotional. She was including leap year in there, So, and one lucky attendee here, it's named This Is It, and one lucky attendee here is going to go home with this devotional. I bought a couple of them, and I thought I would share with somebody that's here today. So it was great to meet those folks at that event, and Jimmy, I just want to thank you for doing things like that in the community and giving back. I mean, it takes a lot of time to run a business, a successful business, and to market, do everything you do. But boy, you are one that truly gives back, and we just want to thank you for all of that. So to start off, let me ask you, where does your passion for business come from? And tell us about little Jimmy, and where all that came from.
Well, let me start with little Jimmy first. Well, growing up in the house with no father, 7 sisters, I'm the only boy. That was little Jimmy's life for a long time. Trying to find out who Jimmy was. The boy Jimmy, the teenager Jimmy, the young adult Jimmy, then the adult Jimmy. It was rough at times, but my mom was a praying mom. And that I believe that's the key that helped me, get through those hard years, with no identification as a young boy. But, even then I didn't have a passion for cooking. That wasn't I was in sports, you know, I wrestled in high school, played football, I played baseball, softball. Uh, Sports was my life, you know, up until adulthood. When I met my wife, I was like in transition in a job. And back then, McDonald's on East Main Street, it was a McDonald's on East Main Street across from, I think, Winty Leaf, you know, over that area. So that was my transition. That was my first experience in cooking. I was a grill cook. And that's when everything was manual. Everything was, you know, you did hands-on. They didn't have the automated, only automated was the bun toaster. Everything else, you had to do everything yourself. I took pride in that. For some reason, you know, even though I was a young adult, I was like, I like 21. I was a young adult. I took pride in that. You talking about some of the best Big Macs that you ever seen? I mean, because back then, you know, you would stack your food and you set your tray of food on the counter, and those on the other side, they were wrappable. So I took pride. All my Big Macs, they was neat. You didn't have lettuce all over the tray. That was just me. I don't know. That was just something that was just a part of me, and I took pride in that. You know, I took pride in my grill. I took pride in everything. You know, everything I set up on that counter, I wanted to look presentable. But knowing down through the years, my family had a history of being great cooks. You know, and I didn't know that until, you know, I would sit with my mom and she would tell me about my aunts, how my aunts would have restaurants and how they would have some of the best food and how people would always come. And so that's how I found out, you know, it was pretty much inherited. My sisters, most of all my sisters are great cooks. But that was kind of from the little Jimmy on up, you know, and so that was my first cooking job. And from there, when the Hyatt Regency downtown on High and Nationwide Boulevard first opened, I was one of the first employees there. I worked at the Peppercorn Duck Club. I don't know if anybody's familiar.
Yeah, we
with the
did
Peppercorn
that in
Duck
college
Club.
too.
Back then, they were very high scale. That was a high scale restaurant. But my job, I was a dishwasher.
Okay.
And I don't know how many may have heard of these type of stories. You know, a lot of chefs start out washing dishes. Well, that was me. At the Hyatt Regency, I started washing dishes, but I was always going over and the head chef, his name was Mike. I think he was from Italy. Guy, he was bad. He was good. He was good. And I would always go over there and watch and ask him, okay, about certain dishes. And so what he would do, he would tell me, okay, what you do, you finish your work, you come over here and I will show you some things. I'm like, great. So every day, that's what he did. I went over there, he showed me. Then probably after about 2 or 3 months, he let me cook. You know, I had to take care of my dishes first. I had to get caught up, but he let me cook. And from there, I started learning the different dishes, learning the names of the dishes, you know, learning how to plate, you know, how, you know, and I don't know, the Peppercorn Duck Club, they were like a four-star restaurant. They were very high class. I mean, their duck was on these big giant rotisseries. And I had to prep all the ducks, put them on the rotisserie, take them off, you know, make sure they're cut properly. And it was fun. So probably about 4 or 5 months after I gotten all of that, they started doing a Sunday brunch. And they asked me, did I want to do an omelet stand out in the middle of the dining table. So you had to build your omelet stand, you know, with bricks. You had to build them. There's a certain way that you had to stack the bricks to build them. So I did that, you know, and then you had your plates out there. So we had 2 different plates. So you would do 4 omelets at one time. And so you had like 8 different condiments. And so you had to remember what everybody wanted. And so I got really good at that. You know, I was out there, bam, that was my job, you know, every Sunday brunch. And I would also do the garbage day, because, you know, out there they had big ice sculptures. They had a guy there that he did these big, giant, beautiful ice sculptures. And you had to decorate, and that's what the garbage day is the decorating. I had to decorate the ice sculptures and decorate the whole, you know, the whole dining area. And so that was my job before I built my omelet stand. So I got good at that. So after a while, you know, I had left that job, and let's see, my next job. So I did a lot of jobs in between. And that's when I started really finding that cooking was my passion. That's what I love doing. And so from there, you know, a lot of other different jobs, and started a catering business. And from the catering business, I started running food trucks for people, you know, a lot of different things. So I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want to tell the whole journey right now. But I'm just gonna start. That was just from little Jimmy, and that's where I kind of found my passion at.
So was it Mike, was the spark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was. He really was. Because and the way I look at it, a lot of times people have gifts in them, but it always takes a certain person to pull those gifts out of, to extract, to give you that opportunity. And so that's what Mike did for me. He gave me that opportunity, and I found my passion. And, you know, and from there, you know, kept going.
That's awesome. We're blessed to have kind of mentors that kind of jump in front of us.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that God puts those people in front of us.
Definitely.
And we need to seize those opportunities, right? You seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
You seize the opportunity. So you've had a number of businesses. What are some of those critical things that you need to do at the very beginning to prepare yourself to be in business?
Well, you know, just like that, go back to the word, without a vision. Without a vision, you gotta have a vision. You gotta have a vision. First of all, you gotta have that passion first for whatever it is you want to start doing. If you don't have you can have a vision but don't have a passion. Because a vision without a passion is, to me, it's just a dream. You know, you're just a dreamer, but you gotta have a passion. You got to know exactly what it is you want to do. And you got to, within yourself, know that you're going to be committed to doing it. Because business is a commitment, you know, from the starting point all the way through the high times, the low times, you know, in between times. You got to have passion for it, and you got to be serious. You got to be committed. Because a lot of people, and what I found out in my journey and watching other businesses, even small businesses, a lot of people, after a certain point, they lose their passion. And from there, when you lose your passion, then really, to me, you know, it's not even worth it no more. You know, so you gotta have those. Passion is, to me, is very key.
Tell us about financials. I think a lot of people, when they get started, they don't pay enough attention to their financials. They don't create a budget, those kind of things. How important are financials when you get started, and then especially as you grow?
Financials is important. And one of the things I learned is, as far as being, I guess they call it solopreneur. You know, that means you're the only one, you're doing everything, you're wearing every hats. One thing I had to learn is finances. I got in contact with Uprise. I don't know if you're all familiar with Uprise.
Tell us a little bit about Uprise.
Well, Uprise, they're a company, and well, actually, by me being certified, and I know that's down the road, but that plays a part in being certified, MBE Edge certified. I was part of the Urban League, Columbus Urban League, and also part of the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. And so the Urban League had a program. They chose, I think it was 20 businesses. They chose 20 businesses. I was one of them that they hired Uprise. And what Uprise did, they kind of reconstruct your whole business. They help you do everything from your financials, your social media. They help you structure, everything, even your photography. That's why my website, the website that you see of mine today, it was rebuilt by Uprise.
Okay.
And so what I did, it was a 16-week program that I was involved in. And so Uprise, what they did, they reconstruct my whole business, and financial part was one of them, because just like in any business, you gotta know your strengths and your weaknesses. My weaknesses ain't keeping all those books, all those other things, but I had been doing it for so long, I needed help. And so also what they did, they paid for me they paid for my QuickBooks for a whole year, and they trained me on, and see that, and that's right now, that's why it's important to get certified. Because that's where you can get a hold of all types of resources to help you. So as far as the financial, that was one of the areas that Uprise really helped me. They even trained me in QuickBooks. They trained me how to use it. They trained me how to keep my books, because, sometimes when you don't know, you just don't know. You do what you know. And as far as the financial part, that was one of my weak points. And I found it out, because not really understanding how to keep your books, keep up with your P&Ls, your profit and loss, all your different components of the financials, because you can spend but not know how much you spend. You can overspend, you can underspend, you can mess your business up when you don't properly know your finances, how to keep them, if you got to get a CPA or CPA, whoever you need to get to help you, I would admonish you to do that, because especially if you do not know, you can wreck your business. You can waste your resources, your financial resources. That's the one, and I can say that because I've done it. I'm like, okay, wow, I'm overspending. I'm not keeping track of what I spend. I'm not keeping track of what I need to put away. I'm not being, and pretty much it's not being a good steward, but not knowing how to work the finance, because that's a great component. That's one of the biggest components in business is your books. And if you don't know how, get a professional. Trust me.
You've got some of your products up here. How important is it to know the cost of every single little ingredient in every one of your spices and ingredients? How important is it to know the breakdown of the cost of each one of those ingredients?
Oh, man, that right there is so important. Yeah, my mentor that was working with me on that, he had me to do that. I'm like, huh? I'm like, what? Everything? It's important, because when you don't know the cost of a product, you can blow through a lot of money, and you can underprice your product as well, because when you know your price point, when you know, okay, let's say the Italian blend versus the, I don't know, switch the Cajun garlic pepper. I thought I had it up here. Versus the Cajun garlic pepper. Even though both of these are my products, you got two totally different ingredients. The Cajun garlic pepper ingredients cost more than the Italian blend ingredients. The labels I mean, you gotta know everything from your labels to your caps to your pressure seals. And a lot of products don't come with the pressure seals. So sometimes everything that you buy is separate. You gotta be able to itemize every component of your product from the container. Sometimes certain, just like during COVID, I was like ready to give up because of there was no plastic containers nowhere. No company had them. No company had them. And so even from that, I had to reduce. And so even from that, I had to get a bigger size. And so now my price point has gone up. So now I got to do my books to say, okay, now this is how much more I'm spending on these products. So I have to upmark my products to the stores. So when you don't know these different types of things in business, even something that's simple, you can blow a lot of money. You can waste a lot of money. You can underprice your product because as inflation goes up, your prices go up. And we all see during COVID, everything went up. I mean, milk went up. I mean, eggs was like $5. So what do you think plastic was? Plastic, even glass jars, a lot of glass jars, that a lot of people use, not only just for canning, but for their business, their different products. There was a lot of stores that didn't have them. So now what you gonna do? But even the hot sauce, every component here, you gotta price it out. You gotta price labels, you gotta price, your seal, your caps, everything. So that, and when you got I got 6 products. That's a lot. And so that's a lot to keep up with. When the plastic goes up, you gotta go up a little bit because you don't want to because if you really, if you were backing your product and you really know that you got a great product, you don't want to shortchange yourself. You don't want to undercut yourself just to make sales. That's something I learned. At first, I'm like, you know what? My wholesale and retail price was like this far apart. And I was, that was doing that just for sales. Okay, now the stores, down here, but I'm paying this much. You got to be balanced or you're gonna lose a lot of money.
Not gonna last very long.
So that's very important. That's very important. How many in here are in the food business or looking to start a food business? All right, don't be scared.
And we've got some online too.
Online?
Yeah, we got some online too.
Okay.
When you talked about mentors, I mean, so now you've got Chef Mike that kind of got the spark going, and then you mentioned a few others of kind of a mentor that help you with your numbers, kind of a mentors that help you in different aspects of your business. How critical is it to maintain and continue to have, even when you start to know everything, all right, and you're getting pretty close to being an expert, right? But we're still learning. How important is it to just maintain mentor relationships?
You got to maintain mentor relationship because everything changes in business. I mean, whether it's you're doing a service or whether you're doing a product, everything changes in business. And those experts, they know those changes. They can help you navigate through those changes. So that's why I always try to keep connection with all my mentors. It's very critical. First, you got to have mentors because we do not know everything. And we got to be honest with ourselves. We don't know everything. And so having a mentor, I probably got about 10 or 12 mentors because I'm ever learning. Always be teachable in business. Don't think because you may be good at this craft that you don't need nobody else's help. You're always going to eventually need somebody's help. Why not keep them close to you where you could just make a phone call and, and bam, get the help you need, set up a time. But it's very critical. You got to have mentors. You got to keep in touch with them. And you don't use them only when you need them. That's something that I check up on them. Hey, how you doing? I don't need nothing today, but I was just thinking about you. How you doing? Because that relationship, you keep that relationship going. And then when you do need, hey, they'll take time out for you. So, and that's like basically any relationship really. But a mentor, I'll tell you, they're so valuable when it comes to a business.
Excellent, excellent. One thing I've always done is, what, I love going, it's easy now to do all banking online, right? You can even take pictures of checks that come in, everything like that. But I'll tell you, there's nothing better than to continue to go into your bank. I'm in there almost every day, and there's reasons for that. But even with your banker, it's good to keep that relationship. And you know what? I've got business from my banker who refers things to you. So networking, all right? Good transition into that, all right? How important is networking in your business?
Networking is almost as important as having a mentor. Networking is very important. Right now, I'm going through Chris's, what's that? His networking class, yeah.
Network Academy, yeah.
Yeah, Network
Chris
Academy.
Borja, for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know, just an outstanding leader for building networking in Central Ohio, and his connected networking group is what Jimmy's speaking of.
Wow. This class, this is a 6-week class. This is third week. We just finished the third week. And I've learned so much about network because I always would go to different events, networking, first thing we do, we want to pull that business card out, bam, introduce, sell yourself. But going through these classes, it's the total opposite. Networking is so important because you gotta have, because even if I'm not using your product, I may know somebody else that may, so it's not about selling yourself, it's about building relationship. And so that's one thing I've learned in this networking class, that it's about building relationship versus selling yourself. Because as you build relationships, they're gonna remember you. They're gonna say, oh, I remember Kenneth, he does this. Okay, wait, well, why don't you hit Kenneth up, and vice versa. So networking, that's a tool in your belt. That's a tool in your belt. Don't lose that tool, because, and once you, and learn the proper way to network. I would advise you go through that networking class, go through the class, because it's worth it. It's worth it. So I got to put a plug in for Chris.
Well, we'll put that on our website and follow up with that information for those who are interested. But Chris is an outstanding individual. He's a partner with Noble and providing classes for us and that kind of thing. So thank you for sharing that. There's no question that networking can be a major source of new business and sustainability for you. Let's talk about your relationship with the Lord, and I know you're a kingdom guy, and so how important has your relationship with the Lord meant to your starting and growing a business?
Well, it meant a lot, because without God, I mean, nothing I do or have done would have been possible. God has opened so many doors for me, because I've submitted my life completely to Him as a kingdom man and as a laborer in the kingdom. And so I'm a servant. I'm always a servant first. That's my heart. That's my passion. And when you become a true servant, God will open up doors. Because just like, the scripture let us know, don't worry about what you're going to wear, what you're going to drink. He said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And He said, all these things will be added unto you. And so seeking Him first, it has to be a priority in our life, even in business. Because as we continue to become servants in the kingdom, God, just like the Bible says, he'll make room, your gift will make room for you. And so, and not only will your gift make room for you, the scripture also lets us know that he'll set you before great men. And so as we continue to be kingdom minded and be consistent in serving, and that's our lifestyle. It has to be a lifestyle because God's opened doors for me that I know I wasn't qualified to do. Just like my drum school, that was one of the businesses I had. I taught drum lessons. I had a successful drum school for 11 years. And music has always been my passion because my senior year, at East, I was East High Tiger. Come on. East High Tiger. That's a 79. Hey, we had the baddest drum line in there ever was, and who really came like. But anyway, I was part of that culture. And I always wanted to teach drums after I graduated. And I went back to East, and then, the schedules wouldn't allow me. So what God did, God allowed me to open up my own drum school, J. Mitchell's Drum Institute. And I taught at two music stores and also Barnett Rec Center. The classes got so big, they gave me my own room, big ball instruments. I've taught some of God has blessed me. Because see, again, when we serve with a pure heart, our gifts will make room for us. Because God knew that was a passion of mine. I always wanted that. And so now when he did, he shifted into another area. It wasn't just at East, but he allowed me to have my own business, which was very successful. And then as I got into the kingdom, I had to kind of relinquish that. After I could fully had to realize, okay, I can't do both because my drum school was like 4 days a week. And so I was busy, but I knew what I had to do for the kingdom. So I had to let that go, but then when I've always wanted my own restaurant, that was my other business. God blessed, and we had a restaurant. It was going good. That's where the Woo sauce was born. This baby was born in the restaurant. And so after that, again, being kingdom minded, serving God, being faithful, God will give you the desires of your heart, but also the actual understanding of that is God will give you in your heart what to desire. Not because we can desire all kinds of crazy stuff, but through the Holy Spirit, he'll give you what to desire. And so again, I've always been kingdom minded, and God has always opened those doors for me, that I've always wanted. And so, just to encourage, you all, and again, we're talking the word, don't be weary in well doing, but in due season, you'll reap if you faint not. Even though, your beginning may be struggle, we're trying to figure out, okay, how I'm gonna get this going. Don't be weary in well doing, because in due season, you'll reap if you faint not. Don't faint. In business, you can faint. It's easy to faint because business will be good one time. Next time it'll be down here. You be struggling. You be trying to figure things out. You may lose your CPA. Hey, some of your connections, you may not hear back from your connections, and so you figure out, okay, well, what's going on? Got to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the works of the Lord. Then your labor won't be in vain, because God will continue. He'll do the other side, but we got to continue to stay focused on the Lord. So, but yeah, so. I'm excited because one of my passions is always to share what I know and my resources with other people. And again, he didn't know it, but he's one of my mentors too. Chaz is one of my mentors too. See, he's just finding this out. He didn't know that.
I'm honored.
Because see, what I do, I pick people's brain. I'll listen to him. And when he came over to our church for the business fair, there was a lot of good nuggets and a lot of good tools that he released that blessed me. So I said, I gotta get connected with this guy. And so I appreciate you.
You talked about certification.
Mhm.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that. Who offers it, and what process did you go through to get that certification?
Well, I went through Columbus Urban League. Went through Columbus Urban League. Ellen Harvey, which is at SBDC at Columbus State, and Evelyn Cleveland. Those are my two contacts. They walked me through the whole process. You can also get certified through, I think, Columbus Chamber. There's a couple of other organizations that you can get certified, but certification is very key. Because what that does, that opens up doors, whether it's state bids, federal bids, government bids, all these other, state, federal, Ohio level bids, all these markets, it opens the door. Why? Because you're now actually truly certified. Your business has been solidified through the proper governmental channels. And so now you can say, okay, hey, well, I got this, or MBA, which is women, women business
owners.
Yeah, MBA. Yeah, that's for women. That's the women part. And they're doing so much for women now, women businesses. They're doing so much. But you gotta be certified. Certification is key. That's why I try to tell everybody, get certified. Even though the process is, you gotta do some paperwork. Don't let the paperwork scare you, because in the end, it's gonna be worth it. So it's a lot of paperwork, but what they'll do, they'll walk you through it. They'll walk you through it, because there was times where I got frustrated. I call Ellen, hey, what does this mean? Call Ellen. What does this mean? Ellen be like, Jimmy, all right, now get it together. and those are other mentors as well, because they walk me through the process, and just to know that being certified, it holds a lot of weight.
Certified in business or?
Yeah,
certified-
as a MBA, minority business.
Minority business enterprise, women business enterprise. You've got veteran business. You got disabled business. There's a number of different business in the state of Ohio that you can get certified. And so anybody that's interested in that, just reach out to Noble and our address, and we'll connect you with those state organizations that help you through that. And in addition to that, there's state bid processes that anybody can apply for. Okay, it's just that when you fall into one of those, women, business, minority, veteran, those kind of things, you get some extra points.
Yeah.
Okay, you get some extra points in being able to qualify, or maybe be able to get that business. And so it's a great benefit.
And also LED, which I'm certified, that's Columbus Public Schools. So now, you can get LED certified through Columbus Public Schools. And so now you can even, eligible to bid on anything, through Columbus Public Schools. And I think even one of the things by me being MBE certified and EDGE certified, the Columbus Zoo is using one of my products, one of my spice blends. And that's how they connected with me, by being certified. So there's a lot of perks and benefits, in being certified. So don't let the paperwork scare you.
Okay, and there's definitely people who will help walk you through it.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I'm right here, I think you have to be a 2-year-old business
Yeah, at least.
to be able to.
No, it started, it was one. I don't know
was
if they
one?
changed it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
when I got certified, it was 1 year. You had to be in business 1 year. That means, you had to have your
filings.
your filings. You had to be certified, yeah.
But we'll help you do that. So anybody that's looking for that information, just reach out. Susie can put that into the chat on Zoom, and we'll get you that information and certainly be able to connect you for that. Because that's valuable. There's no question that's really valuable. And you learn more, there again, more networking, more connections with state, federal opportunities. There's so many support organizations in the state of Ohio that are state and federally funded, that are out there that want to help, okay?
Also,
And-
let me, can I add, let me add this even with the certification. Once you get certified, you will get they do a lot of tutorials, free classes. There's so many benefits that you can get with being certified. Now they do a whole lot of, free classes, whether, and you can also pull on them even as far as financial direction, to get, okay, if you're looking for a certain, whether it's a CPA, if you're looking for, anything to help you in business or any type of organization to help you with your business, they can steer you to the right place. They have free podcasts. They have so many free things that will benefit you, training classes. And also, they also be picking different small businesses, to maybe do give you free classes, things like that, that's very beneficial. Everything from, your lawyers, everything from, business insurance, all these things, because you need business insurance too.
Well, and as an MBE, he was the State Business of the Year in 2020. So obviously they recognized you and what you were doing and how you. Congratulations with that. It's just a wonderful things that you're doing. A lot of businesses want to get started, and they think that the best way to do that is to then go out and find money, find grants, and find money to help you get started, or they're not going to be able to do it. Is that true?
Well, one of my mentors, he told me that you cannot grow your business on grants. I'm like, really?
Come on.
I'm like, okay, that's free money, but those grants don't come all the time. And if you're depending on grants, then you're in trouble already. Yeah. So you gotta have a plan. You gotta have a plan. You gotta have resources is very critical in business startup. You gotta have resources. So how would you start a business if you don't have resources? Anybody? I'm asking class.
Side hustle,
Side hustle?
gotta get some side hustle cash to get you going.
Okay.
Loans. Go for loans or debts.
Loans? Okay.
Work both first and second shift.
So work first and second. A lot of overtime. Now, I started my business with $350. I started my business with $350 of my own money. I started out very cheap. The products were cheap, the labels was little square printouts. That was my labels. My containers, they were like, I can't even describe the shape because it wasn't round. It was something like, and I got these bottles from Amazon because they was cheap. And so I had to start somewhere. But you know what? I knew what was inside was good.
Right.
And so even from that, so to go back to the question as far as the finances, as far as starting out, your money, you got to be able to invest in it, because a lot of times when people get started, we look for everybody else to invest in us. But what are we investing in ourselves? What are we sacrificing out of our own pockets? Because we can always say, we can always want to go get loans, you know, we can always want to go get grants. But what are we sacrificing? What can we say we sacrificed? How old are you? 17? So that means some of your extra money, you gotta put aside for your business, right? If that's something that you wanna start. So you can't always depend on mommy and daddy and friends, okay? But you got to put in some leg work. You got to, you know, whether you got to, you know, I ain't gonna say sell blood or nothing, but, you know,
It's an option.
you know, hey, if that's something extra you can put in a, you know, in a little jar or something and accumulate, you know, you know. And so we got to be creative because as kingdom men and women, God has given us a creative ability. And so a lot of times we're scared to think outside of the box. We want to stay in this area, but we don't want to think outside of the box. So now what I'm doing, even when I'm doing demos and things like that, because I usually do it with just you know, my product. So now I'm shifting and I'm cooking as well. So I'm cooking, selling food. Last week, the Jazz and Rib Fest that was the name of that church, right there on Scottwood and Barnett. They did and they do it every year. So this was my first year doing it. I sold out. I did hibachi, you know, but also I sold my products. So I said, I'm going to do something outside of the box versus just selling my products. Because hey, if I'm gifted as a chef, use that ability. You know, why just focus on the products when you have two streams of income that you can have? So we sold out of everything, and people was mad. They were still coming up. Well, hey, we got some sauces and spices.
Christian Valley, Michigan.
Yeah, Christian Valley. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it was something that God has been teaching me lately, that I have to step outside of my box and I have to do more if I'm going to get more. Because again, and we will see, I'll do spins. Even one of my favorite scriptures is about the talents, the parable of the talents. God gave 1, he gave 5, he gave 10. So I'm asking us, which one are we? And what are we doing with those talents that we have? Because we can talk a good one. We can come here to this and be excited or whatever. But when we leave here, what are we doing with it? Because when at the end of the day, God is going to say, what have you done with what I gave you? And we're going to be the only ones responsible to answer that. We can't blame Chaz. We can't blame Susie. Can't blame Jimmy. We can only blame ourselves because we got to answer to God that for ourselves. What have we done with what he's given us? And so God's given me many different talents. And so I'm trying to use them the best that I can. That's why multiple businesses, you know, all my labels, I design all my labels. I design them all. I design all of them. Nobody else designed these. I designed them. I designed everything. That's a gift that God's given me. And so I use it, not only for myself, but for other people. I offer that free. I say, you need some labels? I get some labels. I do your labels.
Oh, okay.
I'm serious.
Set aside some time.
No, serious. I wouldn't say that
Hey,
if I wasn't gonna make myself available. I've done it, trust me, I've done other people's logos for them. I've done people's logos. I've done it for free. Because what? Freely you receive, freely you give. That's a kingdom principle.
Right.
We like to receive, but sometimes we don't like to give. I give my talents. I don't, trust me, I could, there's a number of people that can tell you, yeah, he did my labels, he did my logo, I didn't charge him that because that's me, that's my heart.
We got a sign-up sheet in the back for anybody who wants. And labels after that. You're gonna be, you just opened up a can. Just opened up a can.
And I'm here for more than just give you information. Again, I'm here as a servant. If I can help anybody else, anybody here in whatever way, I would say, okay, today was successful. Whatever way, if it was just one thing that I may have said or anything, I'm satisfied that you leave out of here with something. If not encouraged, encouraged, be encouraged because again, God has given everybody a gift. And it's up to each one of you all and you on the podcast as well to utilize that gift to your fullest ability and connect with somebody in that same field that's doing better than you are, that can help you, that can mentor you. Because you don't want to get nobody that's on the same plane that you are, because now both of y'all gonna be struggling. Get you somebody that's been there and that's doing good and that can deposit in you and that don't mind, because iron sharpens iron. And that's what we do. That's why we're here. We're sharpening each other as well.
And Noble has a class, and we do this quarterly, so look out for it, where we bring in some professionals that help you to work on your budget, okay? And to, help draw up a new budget, get your finances under control, and then also teach you what you need to do to maybe put some money aside to help you start your business. I mean, I know a lot of people who've sold their cherished car, that they bought, that was a blessing, right? That they always want a particular car. I know people have sold those cars, bought a different car that was more affordable and invested that money into a new business. It's what do we already have? What are the blessings that God has already given us that's in our house or in our garage or whatever it might be that you can shift over to, make that sacrifice to start that business. So I'm going to shift gears on you a little bit. And shift some gears.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your book. Is that all right? So Jimmy wrote a book along with his wife Yvette called "Walking Together as One Flesh: A Marriage Resource for Daily Living." Okay, and we've got copies of this book here today for those that might be interested. So Jimmy, tell us a little bit about this book and why you wrote it. I mean,
Well, me and my wife, we've been doing marriage ministry for over 30 years. I'm always a writer. I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. And this was something that God had put on my heart to do because, we do marriage and premarital counseling. And also we do workshops for singles, getting them tools, to get prepared, for dating and marriage as well. So the Lord put this on my heart to write. And from our experiences, even mentoring couples, counseling couples, God has just, and again, the book, even the subtitle, A Marriage Resource for Daily Living, is designed with tools, with kingdom tools for daily living. Not just, a book with just a bunch of stories. Like, you see some marriage books, they got a lot of stories and they'd be like, and I know I know me and I know as men, a lot of men don't like to read. And so my thing was God helped me to keep it short where when a man gets this book, he's not intimidated by 200-300 pages, and he'd be like, I ain't reading that. And you just got a bunch of fillers in it. But the key to this book is kingdom principles. It's having kingdom principles in it. And And again, daily living, things that we go through every day as a couple, the struggles, we talk about, in there, we talk about sex and marriage. In there, we talk about, 7 marital and premarital points, leave and cleave principle. What does that mean to leave and to cleave? It's in the scripture in the Old Testament and New Testament. For this reason shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And the whole purpose of this book is to teach couples how to become one flesh according to the word of God. Because a lot of times, as a man, men don't know how to be kingdom husbands, and sometimes women don't know how to be kingdom wives. And then we don't know how to be a kingdom couple. Why? According to the word of God, because marriage has been all through the Bible. A lot of times we just miss it. Even in the Old Testament, God always referred his relationship to Israel as a husband and a wife. And we even have scriptures in there that you can refer back to that. Okay, we also talk about vision. What is a vision in marriage? We talk about marriage and how important it is to have a marriage vision. We give homework assignments out of this, but we have a 10-week curriculum that we set out of this book that we go through for marital and premarital counseling. So what does it mean to have a vision, a marriage vision? Because if you don't have a marriage vision, you're just going through the motions and you don't have nothing targeted as far as your marriage to obtain to. Yeah, we can say, oh, we're going to have a great marriage. Oh, we want this. But have you wrote it down? The Bible says again, write the vision and make it plain. That he will read it, he'll run and read it. So first of all, we got to have a vision for our marriage. We got to come together because she can have a vision for her marriage and he can have a vision for his marriage, and they be two totally different visions. The scripture says, how can two walk together except they be agreed?
Right.
You can't walk together as one flesh if you're not in agreement. And so we talk about that. We talk about we talk about love. What is love? What's biblical love? We talk about, the different things that couples go through, surprises. What happens when these surprises come as a couple? How do you deal with these surprises? We kind of give a little short thing even on different areas of gates. We talk about gates, marriage gates, and how you can leave open marriage gates for the enemy to come in. And if you're not guarding those gates, see, now the enemy have access. And so it's really it's for daily living. It's not just for you got this issue, you got this problem, we'll read this story and then no. It gives you tools. It's biblical tools. We have scripture in there, that helps the couples, that they can refer back to it, that they can study it. And so it's really good. It's really good.
And it's only 80 pages, so I don't know how he got all of that in 80 pages. All right, but he did it. All right, and so how do you get this book? It's
on Amazon. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon.
Pick it up on Amazon.
Barnes and Noble.
We got some copies here for those who are present, or there again, reach out to us. Anybody that's going to be watching a recording of this event, certainly reach out to Noble, and we'll get you connected to Jimmy's book.
And also, I do want to one area in there. I love it. I love it because I love talking about marriage. That's my passion. God's order in marriage. That is key because there's an order in kingdom marriage. And when we are in that order in kingdom marriage, then there's a flow. And so when we're out of order, and that's one thing that we run into a lot of times, because just like in Ephesians 5, where it talks about husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Wives, be submitted unto your husbands as unto the Lord. But even before then, the scripture before it says, submit one to another. And we talk about what submission is. We'll talk about what submission is, what true submission is. And so when we flowing in God's kingdom order, then we can really walk as one flesh. And so I love it. So I had to throw that in there.
That's good.
I had to just shoot that in
That's
there.
good. Well, we're gonna go to our closing segment here, and I really wanted you to, especially for those that are wanting to get in the food business or in the food business and some of these other things, we wanted to get some real specifics you can help them with, and just some key points here. Home-based cottage businesses, okay, and commercial kitchens. Talk about that. I mean, state of Ohio allows you to make baked goods at home, okay, but there's some limitations on that, all right? And then you get into commercial kitchens. So tell us a little bit about that, kind of what you can do at home, but then what you legally then have to do if you expand by the basic baking.
Okay. Well, cottage law, and I'll start with, for me, because I have sauces and spices. Cottage law, I can put my spices together at home, and I can package them without having a commercial kitchen. And just like some baked goods, you can do at home without a commercial kitchen. But then there's some baking goods that you can't do at home, and some food-based you cannot do at home and sell to the public. Like I have a company that manufactures my spices, and I have a company that manufactures my sauces, because sauces, they do not come under cottage law. My sauces, they were processed at Cornell University. And so what they do, they analyze. You send them a container of your sauce, whatever it is. I got 2, hot sauce and the wood sauce. And what they do, they break it down, every component, they analyze it, and they let you know, even from your acid contents, if you need to add whatever adjustments you need to make it for market. Because if you're gonna do retail and wholesale, really, sauces, you gotta have it go through the processing process. You gotta have it analyzed through either, I think Columbus State has a program where they do it now. I could never get a hold of them. For some reason, I could not get a hold of them, but God allowed me to connect with somebody at Cornell University, so I sent them off there. And so now all my products, they're FDA certified through them. So now I can go through any processing plant, and I have my documentation that my sauces has already been through the proper FDA processing, process. The spices, again, I have a company because I do bulk, I do a lot. So I started out making them at home. I started out making them in my kitchen. That's my test kitchen. That's what I call my test kitchen. Started at home. But as far as a cottage law, but still, if you're still going to sell them, retail, you gotta have your nutrition label. You gotta have a nutrition label. And that has to go through whatever company, and what they do, they'll break down your product, just like the sauces, they'll break it down, and also you have your barcode. But that's one of the most important things of your product if you're going to sell it in stores. Okay, you gotta have a nutrition label. And I can give you some companies that does that. That's not a problem, but you gotta have it. So, but as far as making the product at home, the spices and dry goods, you can sell them. They come under the cottage law.
Talk to us about commercial kitchens and your relationship with them and how that works. Because obviously that's outside your kitchen now. And these are licensed by the state organizations that have all the proper cleanliness and the materials and those kind of things. Kind of how does that work?
Yeah. So what's the company? It's right there off of Old Manor.
Food Forward?
Food Forward, yeah.
Food Forward.
Yeah, Food Forward. The commercial kitchens, they're designed for small businesses where you can do your product in bulk. They're all certified kitchens. whether it's dry goods or whether it's liquid. But still, even the liquids, you still have to have a process, through the proper channels. But the commercial kitchens are there to assist small businesses. And so if you need a list, we can get you a list of where to go. Now, have anybody used a commercial kitchen?
Well, I used to live in Denver.
Mhm.
Denver had a lot of people, this is when I was in school, a lot of people had business visions and they'd go to the kitchen and, develop their product. And so that's how they started their business. So that's what I learned about it. Denver's all about.
Okay, yeah, and we have several of them here. I know there's one out off of, in Granville. Can't think of the name of it right offhand, but there's one in Granville. There's probably about 3 of them here that I know of, that
We don't have enough, and I think most
No,
towns
we don't.
these days don't have enough commercial kitchens. You gotta pay for time.
Yeah, you gotta pay for
You gotta pay
time.
for time to go in and use the facility.
Yeah, you have to pay. You have to pay hourly. And also, certain kitchens, they have certified individuals that will help you even with your sauces. And that way, but they'll make sure that, again, that they've been processed, because what they do, they have to log any liquids that come out of that kitchen. Because if they're improperly balanced, whether, whatever it is, whatever the issue may be, because they can also be liable for not recording that product. And also, if you look online, you also have a lot number. And so you get your lot number on there, and that lot number identifies the facility that your product was packaged as.
Tell us how you've got many combinations here, and obviously you named them, right? But you've got combinations. How did you over time create your ingredients? I mean, that's probably the fun part, right? It's to test and to make something with it. That's not quite right, and so how fun is that, and how long does it take you to make a new product?
It's fun, and because by me being in the culinary field so long, I have a good idea of what a lot of people like, the different spices, the different flavors that people like. Garlic is number one. Garlic is number one. Outside of salt, you usually gotta have salt. Outside of salt, garlic is number one. So that's why I created the Cajun garlic pepper, because I know a lot of people, they love that garlic flavor, with the pepper, but then you got enough salt that balances it out. So I just play around with them, because I kind of get a visual, and I'm a visual person. Sometimes I can see something and I'll get to it and I'll be like, okay, I know what it's going to taste like, because if I add this, if I add that, if I add that. And see, it's about using our God-given creativity, because we are creative beings, whether we realize it or not. God has anointed us to be creative. And so I am admonishing you guys, get out the box and be creative. You too, young man. You too. I see he over there smiling, but you too. Get out of your box and be creative, because it's there. We just gotta put some motion to it. But getting back to that, that's just my passion. I've always been a seasoned person. I love seasonings. And so that's one thing I do. I'll get in the kitchen and I'll mix this or mix that, and I'll be like, okay, and then I might go and get another seasoning and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna combine them to make a one. And so the whole goal of my products is that they're all designed to be multi-use. And so I got tired of going to get 5 different products, and just for like one dish. You want meat, you go get 3, 4. Come on, I know we all guilty of that. We got 2, 3, 4 seasonings we use on one dish. And so mine are designed to be multi-use, so we don't need, so you don't have, and again, that's a problem. That's one of the problems that I solve. Is you have to go get all these different spices and products to get a good flavor. So that's one of the problems that my products solve. And so I just love it. I do it. Actually, I'm working on a jerk paste now.
Okay.
I done tested out on one of my chef friends. And so I had to let you get it. I'll let you get it, Kenny. And so you're gonna have to use it. You're gonna have to use it now. You're gonna let me know.
Get Cajun in there somewhere?
Cajun garlic pepper.
Okay.
That's what that garlic pepper is. That's Cajun garlic pepper.
Oh, it's
'cause it
Cajun.
got a little heat. Yeah, it's Cajun garlic pepper. Got a little heat, got a little kick to it.
Okay.
That's the whole point of it. Oh, yeah. And so that's one of my passions. I love doing that. And so that's what I'm working on. Also, I got 2 salt-free products that's getting ready to go on the market.
Okay.
A salt-free Italian blend and a salt-free Cajun garlic pepper.
Okay.
So my goal now, and again, is stretching myself, is getting another audience. So that's a whole nother audience. And so that's a whole nother stream of income, So again, it's about getting out of our box, and in business, we can't.
Oh my God.
Hello?
That's a newer and growing target audience is salt-free
Yeah.
and a number of those as well. Well, let me ask you about this. I mean, selling your product
Mhm.
is very important. And I know, in the food industry, you've got farmers markets, grocery stores, online. What are all those kinds of options that have been successful for you as outreaches to be able to get your product in front of people?
For me, I think more demos and events for me. Because one of my goals is to put a face with the product. And that's something I will always admonish everybody, any entrepreneur, you want to be the face to your product. You want to have people be able to interact with you, to relate with you. And I found out for me that is so successful, Chad. I love people. I interact with people, I make them feel important, And so to me, that's more relational. It's about building a relationship, because once I build that relationship, they want the product. I don't worry about the product, because for me, I stand behind my product 100%. I said, my product is good. All my products is good. I stand behind them, but I'm interactive. I'm relational. And for me, the demos and the different events, that really is one of my biggest sellers, more than the grocery stores, the stores, the restaurants. And it's about, that relationship, that interaction. Because if you smiling and selling your product, people are most likely to come up to your booth. But if you're looking all crooked and mean and, like you don't want to be here, you might as well stay home. You're really not for people. You need to be behind the scenes and let somebody else. But for me, being the face of my product is important to me. That way I can meet people, because I love that interaction. That makes me happy.
Okay, so when are we gonna see your face on these bottles? That's what we gotta have Jimmy on the front of the.
I got t-shirts with that.
Okay.
But it ain't my face, but
Yeah.
cartoon
Um,
version.
One of the final questions that I wanted to ask is partnering
Mhm.
with others. So there's various types of partnering, okay, in business. So how have you benefited by partnering with other brands and things like that?
Right now I'm partnering with a chef. Actually, one of the chefs, his restaurant is in Springfield.
Oh, I've had an opportunity to taste some of his goods at your.
Oh, yeah.
At your event, yeah.
Chef Troy.
Yeah.
And we're collaborating. We're collaborating on some things even now. Actually, he was one of the first ones that sampled that jerk face. that I did.
That was good.
He really loved
That
it.
was good.
And so now we're collaborating, and building some things, as far as putting on the market, for him, him using it as a restaurant. And so that's one of the things now I'm working on, that collaboration. And, even as you know, with the, even with partnering with somebody else, there has to be a connection, and I think, and for me, you can't just partner with anybody.
Right.
You got to have the right connection. You got to be led by God. The Holy Spirit has to lead you, because we can partner with the wrong person. And, and I've learned, because that's what happened with my restaurant. I allowed that person to partner with me, because we put in 98%, they put in 2%. And so what I thought was a good business, and it was good for a while, but then behind the scenes, things was happening. So, yeah. So it's beneficial, if you, as far as collaboration, because, even with networking, you're looking for that black belt in network. You're looking for that professional, that pro. You look for that pro. And even in that connecting, you got to have somebody that not only has their interests at heart, but yours. So again, I would say, let God lead you, because it's critical. It's very critical, even in what we do. I mean, even if you have a service, and you need to partner with somebody, God, okay, show me, give me direction. He said, trust in me with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge me, and I will direct your path. And so as we continue to trust in God and acknowledge him in everything that we do, even in our business, even what we want to do in our business, we have to acknowledge him and trust in him. He will direct our path. He'll send the right person to us. We'll know in the spirit that it's the right person. Back then I didn't seek God. That's what happened. I went off of my heart and the relationship that we had, but it wasn't what it should have been. I didn't seek God. And so every lesson, everything in business is a learning lesson. Every failure is a learning lesson. That doesn't mean that you don't do business. That don't mean that you shut down. That don't mean that you quit. Everything is a learning lesson. And so even as we go into business, and how many is learning business? How many is wanting to start a business? Wow.
Good group in this.
Okay.
I know we've got some online too.
Okay. And so that's critical. And so business is hard. Business is hard work. And you got to put 100 in, you got to put 110%. And one thing I've learned, that we cannot depend on other people to fulfill the vision that God gives us.
Right.
We can't depend on somebody else to fulfill what God has given you, what he's given you. So we're responsible. We've got to be the caretakers of our vision, of our business, and then put God first in everything.
Well, I didn't prep Jimmy with this question, so I hope you're okay. My last question of the morning here. Would you be willing, because we've got Noble Social is something that we've recently started. We've had a couple great events. We've got another one that we got pending, and we're gonna go axe throwing. Who wants to go axe throwing with us? Come on now. Who wants to go axe throwing? It sounds like a lot of fun to me. It's great. It got some frustrations out of me too. But I also want to win, so gotta get honed in on it. But my thoughts and I don't know if Jimmy's even done this before, but I think this would be outstanding of maybe renting a commercial kitchen for an evening. And you do, and people come and participate, and we all come there and using some of your spices and those kind of things, group of us come and make some meals, some various types of meals with your spices, and then be able to enjoy them.
Sure.
Would you do that for us?
Sure.
All right,
Yeah.
so does that ever sound good to everyone? Pretty excited. Pretty excited for that, and then we get in there and see how to use spices and what to use different spices on,
Right.
and then how to prepare, and how long does it sit? How do you bake it, whatever, right? So if
Okay.
you'd be willing to do that, let's get on that. Does that sound good? I'm fired up for that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
fired up for that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, we want to open up for questions now, because I know that some of you have got to have some questions, and please, those of you that are online to chat and let Susie know what questions you have, and you're welcome to either write the questions or or we'll let you ask over the system here, okay? And then please be thinking of some questions that you have, but it sounds like we may already have one.
Sheena has a question. Do you want to unmute and ask it yourself?
Sheena, you want to turn on your mic and ask?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was asking, so my daughter started her business when she was 12. She's just really, really gifted in baking. She loves it. And so my husband and I went on and let her kind of start. She's done it passively. She just turned 18, she graduated, and now we want to go ahead and transfer that to her name. How do we go about doing that?
And transfer the business to her name?
Yes, because it's in my husband's name.
She was only 12.
Okay, well, we
Yes,
we can help you with that.
Okay.
So actually, reach out to us, Sheena, and we'll help you with that to go through the process and shifting the responsibility of that business. That's something you have to go into the state to do, into the filing, and we can help you to do that. We can help you.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you.
Wait, also Sheena,
Yes.
because I have a baker friend, she's really good. And maybe that she can be a mentor to your daughter?
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. She was actually just saying that when you were talking about mentors, she was like, that would be phenomenal, actually.
Okay, yes, she's really good. And she does baking classes too. So that would be good, for her to shadow her maybe sometimes.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, we'll make that connection. Thank you, Jimmy, for making that connection and offer. Steve.
So with businesses, there's always a pivot. At what point did you pivot from the restaurant to the spices, and why?
Well, from the restaurant to the spices, that pivot was because we made an executive decision that business partner would not, because the way it was, me and my wife worked in the morning, and the partners, they ran it in the morning. We ran the business at night. And so when we came, there was a lot, some things that was going on that was unlawful, and some things that we had to really deal with them. And so me and my wife came to, after a while, we came to a conclusion that that we would go ahead and pull out of it. And so from there, I continue to get people to ask me, because remember, this was born at the restaurant. People were buying this in the cups. And so they wanted me to start, people, they continue to ask me. And so from there, that's when I went on and started selling it again. And so after that, that's when I got did the hot sauce. And so from there, that's why I just made up my mind. I was just going to start doing my own. And so again, God will allow you to shift, if you're open. And so that was a God moment. And from there, that's where I just automatically started doing my spices and, mixing stuff together and say, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. I'm not going to go to Kroger's or Walmart or GFS and buy this no more. I'm going to create my own. And so that was that shift and pivot. And from there, everything just took off.
Nice. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
With the $350 that you started with, I think one of the things that holds me back a lot is my idea or need to be perfect. So like your label at 350
I wish you would've
might
said
not
it.
have, might not have looked like that label that you have right now. So what made you confident or passionate or whatever gave you the impetus to say, I'm gonna start, here's where I am, and this is what I'm gonna use, and how did you do that?
Well, because for one, that was, I only had minimum resources. And I utilized, and again, like I said it earlier, I knew what was inside the container. I knew it was good. And so as I continued to sell those, I mean, because the first store I got in was Frank's Fish and Seafood. I don't know if any of, that was the first store I got in, because actually, when I had my restaurant, they used to be a purveyor, one of my fish purveyors in my restaurant. And so that's how but when I started my business, he was the first business that allowed me to put my product in there. And with that little square label, I mean, but he tasted the products and he loved the product. And so even from there, as I started building money, I started getting one label, I started, upscaling, because I'm like, I got tired of that little square label. And that funny bottle, I mean, it was a 5-ounce bottle. And it was a funny, I can't describe the shape, it was weird, but it was cheap on Amazon. But as I got more, as my capital grew, I started designing my own labels. I said, this is what I want. Because I got tired of that, I was ready to go to the next step. And so that's when I went on and invested in it. And I was so happy when I got that, oh man, I was showing it everybody. I mean, because it was a big step, but it took me a while. I didn't give up. It wasn't that I was ashamed of it. That's where I was. Just like the Bible says, don't despise your small beginnings. We can't despise those small beginnings, because sometimes those small beginnings, they may not look good, they may not be pretty, they may not be perfect. They're not gonna be perfect, because we're still in the learning process. And so even in those learning process, we still got to be proud of where we're at. We can't beat ourselves down to the point where, it don't look like the other person's, or it don't look like this brand. But no, where we're at is where we're at. Some people is like Kurt Franklin, what did he do? Start selling lipsticks out of his car trunk. He wasn't at a stand, he didn't have a booth, so you can't despise those, start small and then build on it, and be proud of where you at. At least you're starting, some people ain't there.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. You said, talking about your marriage vision.
Mhm.
Is your marriage vision, your restaurant, vision, and making a decision for both of y'all, of course, on board completely committed to the vision.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm saying, we're both of y'all committed to the vision, and your decision was solid, pretty much.
Good
Okay,
question.
now, was that a two-part question or just one? Because I heard marriage vision and then business.
Well, it's like a two-part question, but kind of like the same, like.
Okay,
Marriage, you said you have to have a marriage vision.
right.
But your marriage vision, your business vision for your marriage.
Oh,
to,
okay.
to be able to go forth and then make, made a decision. Both of y'all committed to the vision.
The marriage vision was first, because again, we was married for so long.
Right.
I only been in business for 6 years, this past, April. The marriage vision was first. No, we came together. And this is what we do with couples. We have each one of them separately to write what they feel that their marriage vision is. separately, don't show the other. When we come together, for the first time, they share their vision with each other. And then what we do, we help them put it together. And what we do, and their next assignment will be them coming together as a couple and putting some of his and some of hers and making it one. Because we explain what a marriage vision is too. We show them what ours is. We have ours printed out we have it in a glass frame. And we show them, we show them what ours is. We let them read it. And so to give them an idea, but the business vision, that was mine. That's what God gave me. I shared my vision with my wife. I didn't go off on my own and say, this is me, mine, and just mine. No, I shared it with her. She got on board because, see, my wife knows I'm a visionary. She knows that my mind is always working, you know. And again, it's about the 1 talent, the 5 talent, the 10 talents. My wife knows what God has put in me. And if I say, okay, babe, I believe this is what God, you know, and if she really ain't on board, she's gonna tell me. So I mean, but you know, she knows my history, you know, in the culinary field. But when it came to that, she already knew. You know, she was in agreement. But one thing I don't do, I don't require her to be a part of it because it's not her vision. She helps out, you know, if I do events or something and she wants to come, she helps out. But it's not nothing that I don't make her feel bad if she wants to do something else like today. Well, she had to make a run out of town with my daughter because she was gonna be here. But as far as that, no, I don't require that, and I don't expect her to. Why? Because I'm responsible for that vision. God gave that to me, not to us. The restaurant was for us. This business, God gave to me, and so I'm responsible. So I can't expect her to pull out from what she's doing and always come and help me out. Yeah. Did that answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So with your sauces and your blends, do you have to trademark them so that you maintain that? No?
The only way you can, and I researched that, the only way you can really trademark something, especially, you know, the products I have, you have to have a very, very special spice or seasoning in it that no other product has in order to trademark it. So say like my rub. Most rubs are made by 2 or more of the same ingredients, same type of ingredients. You always got brown sugar in it. That ain't no trademark. Mostly everybody uses brown sugar in the rub. Paprika. Mostly everybody uses paprika in the rub, regardless if it's Spanish, regardless if it's Italian, regardless what type of paprika it is. Mostly everybody uses paprika in a rub. Pepper. Mostly everybody uses pepper in a rub, regardless of what grade it is, whether it's fine, coarse, you know, half coarse, whatever. Everybody uses pepper. So in order for that rub to be trademarked, I got to put something in it that no other, and it has to be researched before it can be trademarked.
So if you used to put like saffron in it.
If I put saffron in it,
Yeah, I'm just saying because
Yeah.
it's a,
well, I ain't nobody, I don't think
Yeah, I
nobody
know.
rub guys, yeah.
yeah, but like you
And
said,
something like that, yeah. And that's why I said an ingredient that ain't nobody gonna put in no rub. Ain't nobody gonna put no saffron in no rub. So that might be the trademark.
or truffle,
You
or
might put
truffle.
saffron in, hey, you know, cause your ribs gonna really be red. That color, you gonna have some color on them ribs.
Yeah.
And saffron is also very expensive, right? I mean,
Oh,
even
saffron,
if-
yeah, saffron ain't cheap. Oh, no, saffron is not cheap.
That's what's gonna make the trademark.
That's what's gonna make sure, I think she had, did you have another one?
I do, because you mentioned how you had to pivot like every business during COVID. So what was that process of like pushing through and not giving up? Can you speak a little to that?
Yeah, I had because only during COVID, I think only one of my stores was open. And so what I had to do, I had to really push my online sales. I had to really push that. I had to really get out and do some demos and some events. Because some of the events I had to do, you had to do yourself. Because then, a lot of things were shut down for, as far as gallery. So I had to be creative. And just like a lot of restaurants that closed down, they went to what? Ubers. They went to, what's that? DoorDash. They went to DoorDash. That was a lot of their sort of other pivot. That was their pivot in keeping their doors open. And so mine was pretty much pushing my online sales. I had to push the online sales. I had to get out there. I had to, hey, I'm calling up people, hey, calling up different corporate, hey, you need, So I had to do a lot more extra footwork because, and I think, and it's funny, and it ain't of a God. In 2022 and 23, my sales rose. Figure that. My sales rose. Because I did the extra and plus, God before you, It don't matter what's going on. Because he's in control of everything anyway. And that was one of my biggest fears, even during COVID. I'm like, oh no, everything shut down. They stopped doing everything, no community events and all that. So I had to be creative. And see, that's what, again, we got to be prepared for shifts. We got to be prepared for those things.
We got
Online,
somebody
there's
online.
an online question.
Yes.
Turn your mic on.
Yeah, so I have a question. What is some of the best ways to get the baked goods that I make in restaurants or in stores?
So what is the best
Get
way?
their baked goods into stores, into restaurants, that kind of thing. If you're making, she's the daughter, so she.
Oh, okay. What's the best way to get them in restaurant store? As far as restaurants, you might want to call the restaurants up. Let them know who you are and see if you can bring some samples. And see, this is one of the key things, especially when you have goods, you want to give away samples. I think I've given away thousands and thousands of dollars in samples because I know in order to get, you got to give, and when you go into different stores and different restaurants and hotels, things like that, you're gonna have to bring samples. You can't expect them to buy them. So that's one of the best ways to do it. Call them up and see if you could drop by some samples. Let them know who you are, and even let them know your age. And it's okay, because a lot of times businesses, they're subject to be more tender towards young people, and and their products, than older people, than us senior, us middle agers.
Thanks for calling us middle agers. It's an age, so I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Did we answer your question?
Okay, yeah, you did. Thank you. I have a question. Can I bring you a sample?
Yes.
Hey, can you bring us all a sample next time?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you bring a sample to a future Noble event. We'd love that.
Bring
We'd
it to
love
the
that.
social lady.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, please do. Please do. And see, that's the best type of advertisement too. Free samples is the best type of advertisement. Give free samples with a smile, like you're so happy to give it. Not like, oh man, man, I wish they could pay for this.
But we all wish that.
Yeah, right.
Question here.
Yeah. How confident are you in the kitchens that you use or the business that you use to manufacture and produce your product and their allergen information? Because I'm going to be starting something that I think is probably pretty unique because all my products will have to be gluten-free and celiac, so there really isn't a huge market for that yet. I know it's gonna be pretty difficult, but, I'm thinking commercial kitchens are probably out for me because they have to be gluten-free and it's a very strict process.
And what you can do, you can check with whichever kitchen it is to see how, because you might can get a gluten-free space.
Yeah, they may have a
prepare it.
kitchen that actually is set aside
Just
for
for
that.
that.
Yeah.
Just for that, because gluten-free is becoming more popular. And so don't say that, no, don't downplay yourself. So don't downplay yourself.
Mainstream now that they don't put gluten in now. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is gluten free, so
Right.
that's gonna be.
Yeah, it's just the labeling is important.
Yeah.
And it has, that label has to be plain in your labeling.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
even
many of
that-
these facilities have multiple
Yeah.
kitchens,
Yeah.
and they're all separated and, walled off. There might be some that are specifically for, protective of that kind of thing.
Yeah, so don't downplay yourself, and I ain't too many people know. See, yours might be the product that just booms, as soon as you get it out there.
We got time for a couple more.
For your first restaurant, did you go through the process of like location, market research, all of those things? How did you determine where to put it? And then like your initial startup, the machinery, equipment, all of that stuff that you need to run a successful restaurant. How did you get all that in place?
My restaurant was like 5 minutes from my house. Literally, it's like 5 minutes from my house. I already knew the location.
Location.
It was loaded, it had everything in it. It already had the hood, it had the pizza oven. I mean, it had a double deck pizza oven. It already had two 60-gallon deep fryers. I mean, it was set. It was beautiful. It was set. So I didn't have to worry about the location. I didn't have to worry about the demographics. It was already set up. Only thing we had to do was deal with the person that was selling it. And that's it. What was the other part?
That wasn't really, but like, how did you determine like, your menu? Cause I guess when you're starting out, sometimes it makes sense to keep it simple when you're first starting out. So how did you determine those initial, like, important decisions of the operations of your first restaurant?
Well, I've worked in many restaurants. I worked in 5-star restaurants. I worked in hotels. I worked in hospitals. I was a assistant dietary director at Dublin Springs Hospital. I worked at Wesley Ridge Retirement Center, which is the one in Pickerton. I don't know if it's a campus, and that's a high scale. That's a fine dining place. They had 2 kitchens. I worked in all of those, so I know pretty much the setup, all that. I did the menu because I knew the demographical area, because like I said, it was 5 minutes from my house.
So what did you put on your first menu?
We had the double pizza ovens. So we did pizza, we did breakfast, we did breakfast pizzas, we did fish, we did chicken, we did burgers, we did funnel cakes, we did deep fried ribs, we did sides. We did main breakfast, waffles, scrambled eggs, things of that nature. And so we even had contracts with Independence High School, Walnut Ridge, the other high school, Independence. I think we had like four high schools that we did their pizzas for their home Friday game.
Oh.
Yeah, we had contracts. Yeah, so we did all of their pizzas on their Friday night games. And also, we did other caterings like for different centers and things like that. So the menu wasn't hard because we knew the demographic, yeah. And we, like I said, we've been living that neighborhood for 30 years, so kind of know, and that was the menu pretty much. And it was very popular. It was very popular. Plus, especially the pizzas. Cause we
Well,
just,
that menu sounds good. Can we get that going? Can we get that place going again?
we get that piece of it.
Yeah, let's get going again. One last question,
Who's that?
one last question.
It's not really a question, but the statement, we could probably leave off on this one. To your question about trademarks, our Noble YouTube page, we had an awesome speaker going over trademarks. So you can get that on our YouTube channel, as well as this will be recorded. So if you want to go back and listen to Jimmy on anything that he said, you can see it on our YouTube page.
Yeah, well, hey, there's a good closing statement there. Corey, blow up the question.
I was gonna say, so you started out with wholesaling to a retailer, in a store. What are some other good entry points or good places to start for people who are just starting out? Is it like farmers markets, street fairs? What are some other good options to get started as a venue?
Farmers markets are good, but farmers markets, you gotta be committed. Most farmers markets, you gotta be committed for that whole season. For me, that's why I don't do farmers markets, because I'm doing a lot of other different events. So I cannot just stay, locked in to I think it's 6 or 8, I think it's like 8 weeks, something like that. Most farmers markets. Farmers markets is good if you have the time. Look at different events, different local events. Start small, start small, because again, it's about budgeting for these events, because you want to be able to function properly without going broke. So you got to use wisdom even in that. But again, the farmers markets, if you can commit to it, those are excellent places. I mean, whether it's for artisan, whatever type of products you have. Farmers markets are really good. I would love to, but and people keep asking me to do it, but until I get a staff to do that for me. And so that's the next thing. That's the next step for me, is getting a staff to do those farmers markets for me. That would be no problem. Yeah.
Anybody want to jump in and help them with that? Hey, there you go. There's some expansion right here with some young business. There you go. That might be it right there.
Hey, there you go, 1099s.
There you go. Well, hey, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today.
Yeah, this
Is another question? Okay.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, so basically, I make my own sauces pertaining to what he said, but now I'm at the point where I need to get it tested. So that's where I am as far as getting it tested. And I never knew Columbus State actually tested it. So I was wondering if you had the person who to connect with, even though I am a Columbus State alumni from that program. Yeah, just trying to get it tested to go to the next phase. Actually, yesterday, me and my brother was talking about doing a rub together, because he make these meatballs and everybody they calling him for some meatballs and they calling me about some sauce. So I said, better yet, we put it together,
Right.
and do it. But I like doing rubs and sauces myself. I started at Ohio State being a sous chef, executive chef. So I've been in the game, not as long as you, Jimmy, but I've been in the game. And when I'm just on a small base with my sauce, it's more family friend oriented, because I'm not in a commercial kitchen or any of that. So it's just like people at my church and stuff like that. So I'm ready to go to the next level, so I know I need it tested, definitely.
Okay. Now, I don't have the connection for Columbus State, but I have my connection at Cornell University.
Circle back with us and we'll get you with Mike, who would have been here today, and find that right person. So
Yeah, because actually the other day, my cousin told me about that program that you was talking about, you went through and got your MBA.
Oh, okay.
She connected me to Bina Harper. And so I've been going to the library, finishing out. The public library has an actual person that helps people that's in business down at the main library.
Mhm.
So I goes down there, I'm almost done with the project I have with the Noble. And the other day, it was a surprise that they have my cousin on NBC4. She just graduated from that MBA, and she's an event planner. So they had her on the
Oh,
Margot Candidate Johnson. And she called me about a week ago about doing a catering event.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm very pumped about.
Definitely get that on the market, man. Get it going. Like I said, we'll find, because I need to know who it is over there too.
Yeah, find out who that is through SBDC, through Mike, we'll get you connected on that.
Okay.
And anybody online or anybody that watches this recording, we certainly just contact us at Noble and we're happy to make those connections. But we've run over time and we had a lot of great questions and I'm sure we probably sit here for another half hour with some more. And I'm sure Jimmy would be more than willing to answer additional follow-up questions, but we do need to close. Try to stay close to being on time. So thank you to our virtual audience. Thank you to those that will watch in the future. And let's give Jimmy a hand.
Thank you, Kevin.